Hi, my name is Kalina and you're watching Romanian Culture Explained. And although my first episode was a sad story about a sad dog, this one will be probably more fun. And I'm going to talk about a huge Romanian custom, a very important custom for us, which is food preserves. We are huge, we are big on food preserves, and we make the most mouth-watering and delicious food preserves you have ever seen, including pickles, relishes, and sweet preserves such as jams. Now, as the most Balkan countries do, and Hungary as well, we have this big tradition where at the end of the summer or the beginning of the autumn, your mother, your aunt, or your grandmother will come with these huge bags full with vegetables from organic producers, from people from the marketplace. They're never from the supermarket. And they are going to cook them and prepare them for the winter. Now, these cans and these preserves in general, they are all organic. Never ever suggest to a Romanian lady that her cucumbers or her relishes are not entirely natural, because that is a huge offense to us. So what they will also do is they will try to coax you into tasting these, and I have to say you do have to try them, because one, you won't be able to get out of it, and two, they are actually amazingly delicious. I mean, my mouth is watering when I'm talking about them, right? But I'll try to be serious. So difficult. Yeah, the basic thing is that these go on the Christmas table for the Christmas meal, but also during the weeks before the Christmas. They are the main staple in our diet because we do a lot of fasting. So a lot of Romanian people do the fasting as conformant to the Orthodox Church. And the vegetarian diet is required for this fasting. So for a few weeks we will eat vegetables and also preserved vegetables, because as you know, they didn't have supermarkets with bananas during the 1800s or so on. So what we did is we kept these traditions alive, and we have passed from generation to generation, we have passed incredible recipes for these food preserves. And I'm going to talk about each of them individually, but first I want to talk about the vocabulary a bit. And what we do, what we say, is a pune pe iarna, to put something for the winter. And this is often shortened even more. You might hear dialogue which is very confusing to someone foreign, like, did you put cucumbers? But someone saying this to another person, they already know that it's about pickling or preserving cucumbers for the winter. So do not be alarmed, do not be weirded out by this. We know what putting cucumbers means, and now you know too. And it's also a bit of a tongue-in-cheek reference, because if one Romanian lady will ask another, did you already put cucumbers? It means also, I have already put them and they're delicious. I mean, trust me, I have been faster, I have been quicker, and I'm more efficient than you. But that's a cultural Romanian thing, and you won't have to worry about that part yet. So, what's the process of this? As I said, you bring these huge bags from the local marketplace. They are filled with vegetables, and then they go through a whole process, which is usually grilling, boiling for long hours. And you also have to clean and sanitize the jars where you put these. But despite it being a very long process, it's a very personal process. You won't find very much popularity for store-bought preserves, because Romanian families tend to be very particular about their preferences, their recipes, and also their delicious and unique food preserves. When you go to a Romanian meal and they ask you to try one of their pickles or one of their relishes, they are asking you this because it's different from other relishes that you have tasted, and it's different from other food preserves in other parts of the country or other families even. So do not hesitate to try them, because they, as I said, they are mouth-watering. Now, coming back to the main three categories of food preserves, the first one would be obviously pickles. So when you search for pickles on the internet, you only find pickled cucumbers, right? But pickling is one of the oldest and most efficient ways of preserving food, and maybe the tastiest as well. We practice both saltwater and vinegar pickling, and I mean saltwater is obviously the best because that's how my grandma does it. And how it works is that bacteria is killed by the acidic solution and herbs. There are a lot of antimicrobic herbs in these preserves as well, such as mustard, garlic, or even aromatic plants. And these also, of course, contribute to flavor. So what do we pickle? Not only cucumbers. We pickle everything. We pickle cabbage, cauliflower, cucumbers, tiny watermelons, green tomatoes, peppers, carrots, mushrooms, and I think I haven't even finished the list because you can pickle everything, right? And sometimes these are either mixed in huge jars or even barrels. So you have a full barrel of mixed pickles for the winter, and the flavors blend with each other. The other main category we are talking about are relishes. So besides pickling, we also preserve the flavor of vegetables in delicious spreads, which you can use on bread. And we store them in jars. We enjoy them throughout the winter, and of course they are vegetarian friendly. One of these is zakuska, and it's much similar to ajvar, which is a Balkan relish, except it contains also eggplants in addition to bell peppers. And how this is made is that we grill vegetables until the skin peels off easily. We drain them, and then we run them through a food processor and boil the mixture with spices. Zakuska is stored in jars, and it must sit for some time for the flavors to blend with one another. Now, this is delicious, and I do recommend you try this on fresh, fluffy bread. It's amazing. It's not one of my personal favorites. My personal favorite is salata de vinete, which is literally eggplant salad. Now, eggplant salad is done using the pulp of eggplants or aubergines, and it's without peppers. But I could eat that with onions and fresh bread until my stomach would explode. I really could. And until you try it, you can't really understand it. But I do recommend you try salata de vinete. Another, let's not call it relish, but another salty preserve that we keep in through the winter is bouillon. It sounds a lot like bouillon, which is a name for broth or flavored soup. But it's really more similar to the Italian passata. It's made out of tomatoes, and it's a tomato paste. But its texture differs according to its intended usage. So we make it out of tomato pulp and the juice of the tomatoes, and it's boiled, flavored with salt, maybe some horseradish or celery leaves, and we use this throughout the winter, not only as a direct consumable, but also as a source for sauces. We use it in soups and broths, and even as a hangover cure, because it does work as a hangover cure. You might be more familiar, however, with sweet preserves. Now, sweet preserves, I'm going to talk about them from the most liquid to the most solid of them. And there are, I think, about 4 or 5 categories of sweet preserves, which are compote. Compote is a fruit preserve where the whole fruit or the chopped fruit is cooked with sweetened water and spices, and then it's sealed in a glass bottle or a jar. When you open it, and you can enjoy it warm or cold during the winter, it's great for colds and other stuff because the flavor of the fruit is there, and it's almost like a tea but more concentrated and more delicious. Now, going further on the solid scale, you have dulceață. Dulceață literally means sweetness, and it's a fruit preserve with at least 50% sugar. It's huge in sugar, and it's very, very sweet. And the fruit is boiled whole, or at most chopped, but it's not pureed. So all the preservation that is going on is by adding a lot of sugar over vegetables or fruit, mostly fruit, but I'm going to go into that later. Jam, how we call it, it's a less sweet but more firm composition, and it has only about 20 or 30% sugar. It might be a bit better for those of you who prefer something that's not as sweet. For jam, you do crush fruit and you puree them, and jam can be made from a variety of fruit and even vegetables. But some of the sour produce is better suited for dulceață. You see, apricots, walnuts, figs, berries of all sorts, sour cherries and roses, they go well with both jam and dulceață. However, it will surprise you that for dulceață, because you add a lot of sugar, you can make dulceață from carrots or cucumbers or even hot peppers. And the hot peppers one, yeah, you guessed it, it's similar to sweet chili sauce. Okay, the mother of all these sweet food preserves is majun. Majun is a plum-based jam without any added sugar, and it's a protected designation of origin in Argeș County here in Romania. Specifically, there's a protected geographical indication as Majun de Topoloveni, Majun from the town of Topoloveni. And this is sort of like, like it's champagne for France, and it's a specific champagne. This is a protected geographical indication. You can't call it Majun from Topoloveni, and you can't call it Majun if it's not unsweetened, plum-based food preserves from here, from Romania. Now, this is done by boiling plums for 10 hours on low heat, and the concentration doesn't need any additives, because at the end it is so waterless and so pasty because of the boiling process, that it's pure plum essence, and it just needs to be sealed in containers, in jars, and you can enjoy it throughout the winter. And it's delicious. It's the very sweetness of plums. It's not something overbearing. It's the pure essence and the organic and natural essence of plums. It's delicious, and it's iconic for Romania. So please, when you have the chance, please do try it. We use these sweet preserves as part of breakfast, usually, with bread and butter, or in sweet pastries. We do something that is similar to the American peanut butter and jelly, except we use regular butter, and we go with a layer of dulceață or jam or majun on top of it. And of course, it's great. It's amazing. The blending of flavors is great in this. Now, my personal recommendation for you, if I hadn't already done so many personal recommendations, and I am so hungry right now because of all these, really. But my final personal recommendation maybe would be that you try these types of food preserves, the sweet types, together with papanaș and sour cream. So let me explain a bit. Papanaș is a sort of fried pastry which also contains a large amount of cheese inside of it. And it's a fried pastry that we serve together with sour cream and dulceață made from blueberries. Now, the combination of sweet and sour and the crunchiness of the pastry, it will make your taste buds absolutely love you. Now, I hope this wasn't too boring for you. You have to remember a few things, just a few things. 1, never refuse. Never refuse homemade food preserves made from someone who offers them to you. Never assume that store-bought is better because they use a lot of preservatives and artificial flavorings. This is like, so if you would say this to someone offering you homemade food preserves, that you prefer store-bought, or that you don't want to taste them because, it's just preserved vegetables or fruit. The cultural equivalent of this is like telling a painter that you can take a photo of the Notre Dame and it will still be great, right? It's not. We do care a lot about these things, and it's amazing, and it's very interesting. And I found that talking to people from Western Europe or America or other parts of the globe, they're really impressed with this, and I hope you will be impressed with this too, because these are natural, all organic, all fully delicious and amazing food preserves that they cannot be imitated, and you do need to try them for yourself. So I hope you had fun, and I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe and comment. I also want to hear your thoughts. If you have ever had zacuscă, salată de vinete, pickles from Romania, maybe sweet preserves, let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely mouth water even later.